faster than the speed of sound. At an early age you wanted to get out, to pursue adventures all around. Things got tough sometimes, but it's all good, cause Tails is his best friend. He's always there for him, he's his sidekick. Through bad and good times over and over again. What you see is what you get. Just a guy that loves adventures. It's Sonic the Hedgehog.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the IDW Sonic Rundown. And folks, to kind of get ahead of ourselves, to kind of get the obvious stuff out of the way, this is going to be the last episode for a while, because we are quote-unquote catching up with the comics for the purposes of the podcast at the very least. We got a lot of stuff to talk about as for the future of what stuff is going to look like, especially for the Spotify audience. But overall, we have the three previously released comics here to go through, issue 81, 82, and 83. Now, the reason why we have such a small selection is because Sega kind of did that intentionally. But I feel like that's getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, there's not a lot to say about the comics themselves. More stuff to say of what's going on around the comics. So let's just kind of get into it.
Without further ado, IDW Sonic issue 81, Stanley writing and Kim doing the art. So we open. A city set within a ravine. The city of circuses, the palace of performance, the city of Sequin and its grand carnival. And we are welcomed with an otherworldly treasure at the center of its festivities. This year promises to be the greatest carnival ever. For one night only, feast your eyes only on one of the legendary Chaos Emeralds. By invitation only, names will be taken at the door. However, we move to inside this masquerade ball, hosting the Emerald. Also, I do kind of want to point out, in this masquerade ball, all of the masks are designed like the Persona masks from Nights into Dreams. I think that was a great touch. Big fan of that.
Yes, good call out.
And of course, Sonic and Tails are here, keeping watch over the purple Chaos Emerald. Sonic is entertaining himself by doing the classic maneuver of olives over the fingers. Love that. Finds the real party should be outside, but Tails reminds him, we're only here because this right now is the only Chaos Emerald accounted for, one of them being stolen right from under them. And Tails has a plan to catch this thief, but they have to be vigilant. And Sonic, of course, will play along, but after the thief is busted, it's party time. And as they hear from behind, it seems like they'll let anybody in this joint, and of course the call out was being from Rouge and Shadow. Shadow is not wearing a mask. What a party pooper. Boo.
I mean, he wouldn't wear a mask. That's not his vibe. He's not about this shit to begin with, you know?
Still though, come on, man. When in Rome and whatnot. She and Tails had the same idea, trying to catch this emerald thief. Her own emerald that she was keeping in her apartment in Central City was stolen out from under her, and they didn't even have the professional courtesy to leave a calling card. I intend to reclaim my prize and show them how a real treasure hunter does business. Of course, if I don't, they don't show, I could just replace the old emerald. So Sonic then asks what Shadow's plans are. Can't do chaos control without an emerald after all. My own power is more than enough. The emerald's safety is the world's safety. If someone is making trouble, I'll stop them. Although if this emerald becomes contested, it would be far better off in my care. Really? Sonic asks. You didn't come to the party? Showing off the olive fingers as Shadow is clearly disgusted.
It's cute.
Then the lights dim. Spotlight on the MC. It's time for the main event. Tonight we bring you the finest entertainment Sequin has to offer, performing a unique show to highlight the priceless wonder we're here to witness. And thus a glass dome is put over the emerald, its purple light reflecting within it, creating little lights all around the room. And without further ado, please welcome Sequin's brightest stars, the Celestial Troupe. Then, a family of sugar gliders descend from the ceiling and perform a Cirque du Soleil-style act. Trapeze showcases an ending with the family landing on top of one another on a pyramid fashion. Crowd cheers, Sonic saying they got real moves, as Rouge comments they clearly would make for a good distraction. So when the troupe begins the second part of their act, a smoke bomb goes off, throws the group off, and as the smoke clears, we see someone grabbing the emerald and makes an introduction. Wow, would you look at that crowd? I've never seen so many stuffed shirts. You must be keeping the local taxidermists busy. That's pretty fucked up.
Wow, that's kind of crazy, man.
Taxidermists? The fuck? But where are my manners? Let me introduce myself. Lunar, Master Thief. I'll be taking this Chaos Emerald. The bouncers try to grab Lunar, but glides away, as Lunar is a sugar glider as well, over the crowd and begins to escape. Rouge finally gets to jump in, ripping off her dress as Sonic gets Tails up, but she does the classic of throwing a table behind to stumble them. Shadow does the old reliable as he screams to the crowd to move and lets a path open for himself. Rouge tells the boys they gotta be faster than that. All's fair when there's an emerald on the line. When Shadow clears the path, Sonic's able to grab onto Tails, boosts forward. Shadow and Rouge are already following the thief outside. Sonic's in the air and is enough to tackle Lunar onto a balloon. He pins Lunar down, saying it's better to give the emerald to him. You really don't want to deal with Mr. Tall, Dark, and Cranky. Sorry, that's a little tall, dark, and cranky. You got something to say, Sonic?
Gay flag emoji.
Gauge.
Gauge, dude.
Emerald? What emerald? And Lunar's got nothing. Oh, come on! As Shadow comes in, just dive kicks between the two, popping the balloon. So Sonic tells Shadow, just listen. Tails has a plan. If we work together... I've seen you two chase down emeralds. Well, hey, Tails put a lot of work into this plan. We know what we're doing. Do you? As Lunar calls for them from behind the fence of the ravine. Yoo-hoy, catch me if you can. And Lunar glides away as Tails and Rouge grab Sonic and Shadow to follow. Tails says Shadow won't stop at anything or for anyone. If we're not careful, people will get hurt. Yeah... As Rouge in front throws her heart bombs toward the boys and flashbangs Tails, making him drop Sonic. Sonic ends up landing on this Da Vinci style helicopter, spin dashing on the air catcher to lift himself up, telling Tails, go after Rouge, I'll handle Shadow. Sonic ends up hopping from balloon to balloon, catching up to Rouge and Shadow, and calls for him, saying that he finally saw the light and realized I'm faster since you're hitched a ride with Rouge. He's baiting you. I know. Fine, you got me. Still doesn't change the fact that the only way you can get that emerald is if you go through Lunar and me. Very well. So falls for the bait, dives bombs away to the Rouge. Boy is locked in. That's kind of fun. At least, the little back and forth they got is pretty solid. I like it.
He's baiting you. I know.
And falls for the bait. It's great.
Falls for the bait. It's classic.
Tails goes to handle Rouge, her throwing more bombs towards him, and him responding by taking a tart from a tent, catching all the bombs, and throws them back to Rouge, dazing her enough to fall into a popcorn stand. Turnabout is fair play to Rouge, Tails shouts as he flies away. So we then move through the lower levels of the city. Sonic catches up to Lunar and asks what the deal is. So are you behind the other Emerald Thieves? You don't seem to be the take over the world type. If I regale you with my admittedly epic backstory, we'll lose the mystery, the intrigue. Where's the fun in that? And that's where Shadow comes in. I have no interest in your backstory. That's kind of... Look, there's a way to do humor with Shadow, and this is it.
Me when I don't give a fuck about the backstory, bro, just give me the emerald.
Hand over the emerald, or face me, as Lunar smirks, and Sonic steps in between the two of them. Shadow, none of this is adding up. We need answers. Let's find out who this kid is, and what they're going to do next. So, I think maybe this is the best time to kind of stop a little bit and give a little notice of what's going on. So when this character was revealed, Evan and I believe Gigi, who also did the character design for them, said that Lunar actually has no pronouns, just goes by Lunar. So the decision to give Lunar no pronouns actually came pretty far and late into the design process of everything. Basically, the comic was done before they decided to shift tone into this. I believe Evan said that once it's collected for the graphic novels, they'll change it to better reflect it. That's kind of interesting. I mean, I will say, a no-pronoun character does make for pretty interesting creative writing. I can say that much.
Yeah, I don't understand why they kind of just said,
I mean, hey, why not, right?
Yeah.
There's no harm in it. Listen, it's woke 2.0. There's no harm in it, okay?
Woke 2, bro.
Anyway, I am not backing down, Shadow says. Not when my quarry is right in front of me. You can get all the answers you want after I've secured the emerald. Shadow dashes to Sonic, him doing his middle slice. Sonic counters with a high kick, and the two basically do like a stand rush between each other, with Sonic catching Shadow's punches in his palms. Sonic crossblocks Shadow's punch. Shadow breaks Sonic's stance with a low kick, best known as the white woman normal, if you know.
Nah, man, no. The white woman normal is very specific. It's the kick where they're like leaning down, like it's like the angled low sweep. That's the white woman normal.
Best. Sonic gives in, Shadow telling him he should be more concerned about his position, but he says, take a look around. I got what I wanted, which was Lunar escaping. The people on the street freaked out to see Sonic and Shadow fight each other, and Shadow has a clawed grip towards Sonic, but gives it up. And that's where Rouge kind of just hobbles in and is pulling caramel corn off her fur. Shadow, I really hope you caught that gesture. And Shadow just walks past her, says nothing, he's mauling, leaving Rouge to have to follow him away from the crowd. And Tails finds Sonic, asking if Shadow didn't give him much trouble. Well, nothing I can't handle. Stormed off with Rouge, and the mystery thief hightailed it to who knows where. Perfect! We had a rocky start, but everything is going to plan. Sonic, when he pinned Lunar, put one of Tails' tracking devices on Lunar's cloak. It's far more accurate than the Emerald radar. Shadow and Rouge won't be far behind, but we got an edge with this. And as they search the city, we can go right to the source. And night falls. Sonic and Tails follow the trail to an old industrial district, a warehouse. And as they go inside, Tails warns Sonic to tread lightly. This isn't about finding the emerald. We need to know what their master plan is, if they even have one. Sonic hears Lunar in the rafters, running with the emerald in hand. He reacts quickly, leaping up, and actually, once they see Lunar, kind of reacts in fear, seeing Sonic. So now we're going to get answers. But Lunar freaks out and says, Stop! Here, take the emerald. And pulls the mask off, now speaking normally. I don't want any trouble. I don't even know how I got this thing. It's a Chaos Emerald, right? I'm gonna be in so much trouble. Sonic and Tails just turn to each other and be like, yo, man, if this is a trap, this is a very weird one, man. So Sonic just reaches over, about to grab the emerald. And meanwhile, outside the city, we see a GPS leading to Sequin, with Dr. Eggman in tow. Only a few more hours now. Get ready, Sequin. The Eggman Empire is here to party. And while that is the end of the comic, I also do want to show, we do see the moon in full view, and it is shown fully destroyed post-SA2. I'm glad that that's a detail they're keeping now.
Yeah, I'm glad that it's consistent.
You know what's funny? I mean, this is a bit of an aside, but I still find it very funny how Izuka pulled out of his ass that the moon just rotated after it got, like, hit with the laser in SA2. And then we all understood that he just pulled that answer out of his ass. But then some dude, like, did the math and realized, no, he's actually correct. The moon with enough force that the laser did actually would cause it to rotate.
The moon just rotates? I guess.
I don't know, that's just funny to me. It makes me laugh. Anyway, that's issue 81 done. Let's move on real quick to issue 82. With Evan Stanley writing and Gigi Dutree doing the art. Now, before we start, I want to get this out of the way. When this issue came out, I did see a lot of people questioning the quality of the art of this particular issue. The reason for this, Gigi said, was because they did it differently than how they originally did it. Normally, they do it directly to digital. This time, they did it physically on paper and scanned it.
Did they explain why?
Not that I know of, but if this was just an experiment, I can assume that Gigi will be sticking to digital.
Yeah, I don't hate the art in this issue, but it definitely looks a little out of place in comparison to the rest of the comic, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't mind experimental stuff. I just think that in terms of like what it's trying to go for, it just feels a little off kilter compared to everything else, right?
Right. And look, I personally thought the art was a little off as well, but, you know, there is a reason for this in the end. The old industrial district. Sonic took the emerald, no trick, no trap, and now they meet this Lunar who says that the proper name is Salil. Right. I'm Sonic. I know who you are. Not in a creepy way. It's not a big deal. You just kind of changed my whole life. As Soleil shows the phone, Sonic is the lock screen and has a charm of the Phantom Rider. Very cute. Very, very cute.
Yeah, what makes this even more interesting is that apparently a Sonic spotter community exists. And this guy has been collecting their faves, and the explanation isn't going very well. I've heard worse.
Ah, stupid. I'm such a screw up. Salil is a very neurotic individual. Let's put it like that. So Tails tries to comfort Salil. No, look, you look up to him. Exactly, he's amazing. Great. Let's try it again from the start. Yeah? So Salil explains the family is a bunch of acrobats, and the parents are a lot. They demand perfection. And one day, Salil choked in the performance. The thought of failing on stage was just too crushing. So, parents took Salil out of the act, which led to a lot of alone time. And that's when Salil started seeing videos of Sonic popping up on the timeline. He does all the same aerobatic stuff the family does, but he does it out there just for fun. So, Salil tried doing some routines based off Sonic's moves, when suddenly, stolen goods started appearing under Salil's bed. No knowledge of how they got there other than some other me put them there. And of course, the parents blame the videos for all this. Typical parents, folks. Typical parents. It's all YouTube's fault.
All YouTube's fault.
Tails asks where the troupe has been performing, and Salil explains Central City, Seaside, Sunset City, then we went to Spagonia? Yeah, Tails says. These locations match up with the Chaos Emerald disappearances. You think that psychology isn't my forte, but I would guess that stress led you to subconsciously develop an alter ego as an outlet, this being the lunar character they met. So Salil collapses in shock, and Sonic tries to give assurance. Look, we got your back, as Tails says that this isn't necessarily a bad thing, just a thing. Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's a little weird.
They offer to help. Sonic thinks that there's more to the story, so we're going to stick around and figure this out together. Until the doors of the warehouse are blown wide open, Sonic thinking it's Rouge and Shadow, but after dodging a baton, it's the rest of Salil's family. Mom orders Salil to come down and asks for the phone being placed on the ground. Mom and Dad are both angered by disobeying, tarnished the family's reputation, and even ran away from the circus. Dad is about to step on the phone, just cracking the glass, until Sonic rushes in, sweeps it right under his feet, and brings it back to Salil. Not cool to mess with other people's stuff. Sonic the Hedgehog, the corrupter of youth. Guess that's not entirely inaccurate in the meta sense.
I feel like this line has a double entendre.
Maybe even a triple. Oh, maybe a triple.
Curious.
You poisoned our dear child's mind, drew Salil away from the true, beautiful calling. Ya, pitch roll, pose form 3. For your crimes you will feel our true power, our perfect art of acrobattle, as they just hit a Gainu Force pose.
Alright, man. Okay.
So Salil is embarrassed, and Sonic and Tails don't really know what to make of this. Mom tells them that they will pay for the damage they've caused, as Tails says that they did plenty enough damage, and is told off for meddling with family affairs. Tails affirming that he will not let his friend get hurt. All during this, Salil's personality shifted back to Lunar, having juggling balls and the Emerald back, is on the run once again. Meanwhile, above in the city proper, Rouge leads Shadow into a side street, Shadow asking what the play is here. Rouge's treasure hunter intuition tells her that this Lunar won't go quietly, so all we can do is keep our eyes and ears open and pounce when the moment is right. And I'd rather do that refresh, wouldn't you? So, Shadow, we wait. Sequin is famous for its cafes, and I've been dying to try one out. And Shadow is offended at the thought of wasting time, especially after an emerald was stolen right under from her nose. My nose, you were there too, Mr. Perfect. Shadow storms off. I am not leaving this to intuition. I'll make my own luck. I'll have fun being stubborn by your lonesome. I'll have a croissant for you. You know, this back and forth between them does feel very natural. It's an A+. It is an A+.
Yeah, it's cute. I like it.
Sonic, Tails, and the family are now all chasing after Lunar as Mom calls for interference routine 7. The kids basically ground pounding in front of Sonic and Tails, stopping them in their tracks. Teach them our family's strongest value, raw damage output. These people, man. Listen, if it wasn't for them, they would make great fighting game coaches.
Yeah, they would, they probably know how to convert a combo better than anyone.
Tails tells Sonic to go after Lunar. He'll slow them down. Oh, you're really getting into this, huh, buddy? And Tails affirm, I've seen my own fair share of bullies. No one deserves to be treated like that, especially from their own family. Sonic slides under and goes after Lunar on his own. Mom and Dad pin themselves between Sonic, and he tries to tell them that Salil got into something weird here. The only weird thing here is you. Well, pot calling the kettle black much, huh? Owned. Got him.
Oh, wow. Owned.
Sonic dodges a baton below his feet, jumps again to dodge a whip, and barely dodges another baton hit under his nose. And he boosts away from them, saying that if his nose was a touch longer, he would have gotten hit. And on the rooftops, Sonic calls for Salil and being corrected that right now, Lunar's talking. Right, Lunar, look, I'm not saying you should stay in a situation that hurts you, but running away with no plan won't make things any better. And Lunar doesn't respond, only somersaulting up a crane. Sonic shouts that Lunar, and therefore Salil, has been pulling off crazy moves. You gotta get your family to see this. And you, all of you. Lunar takes off the mask. Only if you promise to look after Salil. Promise. So Sonic gets up to the crane, but the weight of the both of them makes the arms snap off, as when they fall, Salil tries to remember recovery form 2, but gets hit in the shoulder by some debris, leaving Sonic to do a chain homing attack to get closer to Salil, and shouts to grab onto him. But Salil sees that, thinks maybe if I switch up the angle, moves forward, and is able to copy Sonic's chain homing attack on the debris and gives a safe landing. And Sonic follows saying, yo, that was a pretty wild move, you rocked it. And Salil does think that, well, Sonic, if you weren't here, that might not have happened, but Sonic's like, no, don't worry about the what ifs. What matters is that you are here, and you're awesome. Mom and Dad follow, grinding down the suspension bridge wire, not at all impressed by that display. Mom say that move was not anything close to the 641 forms of acrobattle, Salil. Come now. And Sonic shouts that their kid is not their servant, but Salil stops him. I can do this now. Salil comes to the parents, telling them there isn't necessarily anything wrong with acrobattle, but you just have too high of the standards. It nearly destroyed me. And I'm learning to do amazing things that are mine. I'll do them no matter what you say, but I would really like you to be there to see it. And Dad refuses to accept anything less than perfection, but Mom's just like, no, what are we doing? And takes off her mask, and he's, look, yeah, we really have been a bit overbearing. And Dad takes off his mask as well, not wanting to accept his parenting as not perfect either, but they all come together. Their drive for their perfection almost drove their kid away, and as the saying goes, love is blind. So we accept you, Salil, with 110% of our might, with a big, huge sign saying, we heart you. Sonic's clapping. Salil sees that is celebration form 16, until they hear a whoosh sound coming from over the water, and crashing in, Shadow, grabbing Salil in one hand, and loses the emerald in the way. Shadow says Rouge's intuition wasn't completely wrong, you just gotta follow the noise. So Salil grabs the emerald back, leading Shadow to rush to take it back, Sonic having to dive to protect Salil now. Mom and Dad shout at Shadow, don't you dare attack our child, and now they're fighting Shadow. Sonic and Salil are holding onto the broken bridge, and Tails in the distance carrying Salil's other siblings. And shouts, Tails, looks like you made some new friends. Is that a new fly type move? Yeah, turns out these guys are pretty cool. They call this a fly form. Shout out Sonic
man.
Heroes for no reason in particular.
I guess just random Sonic Heroes call out.
Sonic then starts losing his grip as Shadow breaks off and goes right for Salil. Tails does some quick math, and Tails is able to swoop down, swing the siblings towards Sonic, him calling this the bridge form, and runs up them and adds Salil off to Tails, telling them to back off. I'll talk Shadow down. Don't let him pulverize you. Ha, he wishes. So Sonic meets Shadow face to face, telling him to relax. The emerald is in safe hands. However, he insists the emerald is not safe unless it's with him. Hand it over. You really won't change your mind, huh? Alright, well, if you really want to fight, I'll give you one, as they pin against each other. This shot kind of does look like the Sonic Movie 3 poster, does it not?
Yeah, it kind of does.
Guess they're just evoking it. Fair enough. Sonic and Shadow are fighting all around the area and are moving so fast Salil can't even see who's winning. And in the distraction, the emerald is snatched away by Rouge. And Shadow accepts this. Sonic's surprised that he just give up the emerald just like that. And as he puts it, better her than you. Rouge flies down saying that this is what happens when you deal with a professional. I'll take care of this beauty, guaranteed. Well, I guess that's that then. Talk about anticlimactic. Mom and Dad run to Salil, hugs and kisses all around as Salil complains about the mask poking the face, until from the sky, a large ball lands into the bay next to the bridge, and on it landing Eggman's newest ride, the Egg Jugular. And folks, it's party time.
Alright, so, hey, did anyone kind of feel like this whole Soleil lunar thing got resolved a little too quickly for their liking? Feels like the parents were just kind of like, oh, you need to be better. Wait, we're being assholes. We love you. Something feels off. I wonder why.
Yeah, I agree, but I think it's best to save it all for the end. So, issue 22, let's go to issue 23. It's Stanley writing and Thomas Roethlisberger doing the art. So, Eggman in tow, party time, the group having to run away from the wave the water is making. As Eggman looks at his map of Sequin, what to do first? The parade, the midway, and I've got to get some snacks too. Oh, I can't decide. Only one thing left to do. Badniks, divide and conquer. Salil almost gets swallowed up by the wave. Sonic jumping in to grab and Tails recovers them both. So now the three go on the attack, though Salil is being dragged into it by Sonic. Eggman orders Squad 3, get him a fried thing on a stick, now. Salil thinks this is one giant robot, but Sonic sees it as mid-sized as best. We can take it. Sonic knocks the head of the robot, shouting the city ordinance says no giant robot parking between 7 and 9. Eggman is surprised to see Sonic here, asking why he's here. I asked first. Change of plans. All Badniks, attack! Badniks swarm, dive bomb Tails and Salil, asking Tails to swing up, leaving Salil to take out all the Badniks with Rapidius kicks. And Salil's pretty impressed that it was pulled off like that. Sonic shouting that this little pack of robots won't be stopping us, Eggy. But then the three dodge a baton coming in from behind as it latches itself onto the jugular. It's a good thing I brought a whole lot more. The three rush in as Salil's parents are beaming at Salil's moves, even if they are a little unconventional. You make your parents proud! Shadow tells Rouge to give him the emerald, and she reluctantly hands it over. You better take me to the best cafe in town. Sonic, Tails, and Salil really aren't doing much damage, so Sonic thinks they gotta work together to be cracking this egg, and leads them in a triple homing attack, burrowing straight through the robot and downing it clean. And Shadow leads down, as Eggman is peeved that he really just came here to have a good time in the carnival. You know, see the Snites, get some snacks. It's just a little research trip. Get some new theme park ideas. But no, you just had to show up and stomp your stupid shoes all over my parade. It's really funny how he's talking like this when, like, you know, he kind of, you know, conquered the planet, like, what, 6 months ago?
I don't know, man. Dude, time is fake. Time is fake in this series. I don't care if it's real. Time is fake. This is nonsense.
Now feel the wrath of my, as Shadow flings a Chaos Spear into the robot's eye, spooking Eggman. Oh, Shadow, with a blasted Chaos Emerald too. Sonic tells him that was a good hit. Let's send these badniks packing before they can hit the city. But Rouge gets hit in the head with a badnik carrying a bell, and then hit again by one of the electric batons, making Shadow catch her. That's surprising even to Rouge herself, but Shadow says no. That was just to put me in the perfect position to do this. And Shadow is about to induce chaos control, but Eggman just quickly snatches it out of his hand and just slaps it right into the machine. And of course the Emerald supercharges the jugular, maxing the power out over 110%, and brings out multiple energy chainsaws, a Doom Eternal looking ass weapon.
I mean, hey, it's kind of cool.
It does look cool. I can't deny that. It does look cool. On the ground, Tails is exhausted. Sonic gives Shadow shit for giving Emerald the Eggman. Rouge tells the Flatterer to stop. Emphasis on the stop. Correcting this will be child's play, Shadow says, leaping up and intends to claim the Emerald back from the smoking wreckage. And Sonic follows his lead. Sounds like a plan to me. Sonic and Shadow dodge the chainsaws on the way up, forcing Eggman to fire the missiles on them. You'll have a much harder time dodging these. They are able to move away, but the debris ends up hitting the ground some civilians are standing on. But the troop swoops in and saves them, telling the warriors they have a battle to finish. We can handle the rest. So Sonic shouts thanks, but before Sonic and Shadow can recover, they're hit directly with the energy chainsaw and dazes them as they fall. And then the Chaos Emerald fully recharges the jugular, the energy radiates purple, and is about to fry these rodents until the energy gets cut off in a little poof. Eggman doesn't understand the energy readings are at 0 and sees Rouge. How could you have possibly... don't look at me. It was Tails' idea. I just handled delivery. As we see, she put a bell on the nose of the robot, cutting the chaos energy right off it. And on the ground, Tails says that he shortened out the energy circuits. No more emerald energy for you, Eggman. As Eggman just gets back into the systems, locking Tails out and fries the bell. Power returns to the robot, going up slowly as Tails can't get through the firewall. So Salil says they can't get through the firewall, let's just get through his face. And calls the troop together, latches one, following Salil's lead, attack Form 3 Sonic style, as the 6 of them burrow through the jugular's face, fully breaks it down, it stumbles off its ball platform. Eggman bails, saying you'll all regret this as the robot falls into the water completely wasted. Sonic shakes the water off of him, to Shadow's annoyance, as Rouge calls for them to call her when they savage her emerald. She just say my emerald. As for Shadow, threat's gone. I don't care about the emerald right now. When I need it again, I'll claim it wherever it may be. Oh, dude, you're 1 in a million. Nah, 1 in a billion. And gives him a hard smack on the back, makes him stumble. That's alright. Okay.
Okay, man. Good bit.
Sonic asks Tails if Eggman took the emerald, and he doesn't really think so. He wouldn't resist just bragging about it, and I didn't pick it up on the tablet when he was leaving. And according to the tablet now, kind of looks like the emerald is just gone. That shouldn't be possible. Maybe something got knocked loose in the fight, but Sonic feels like that's not really the case. Or is just gonna have to wait to see what happens here. As for the troop, they call for Sonic, and for his efforts, he's earned the right to see the troop's most powerful technique, Gratitude Form 1. Thank you for helping our dearest Salil. And Salil comes to say thanks properly. You changed my life. And Tails too. I never thought anyone would get me. Or care. Tails says it was nothing. Sonic brings the little goobers all in for a group hug. And as they all say their goodbyes, we see someone looking from above, a shrouded figure, a coffin chained to their back, overlooking the wreckage, and has the purple emerald in hand. And that makes 7. That's the end of this issue, and funnily enough, as quickly as they came, as quickly as they went, that is all the comics we have for the episode. So, guys, let's talk. Let's have a serious discussion now.
Hey, so this arc went by way too fast. It feels like there could have been an extra 2 or 3 issues to actually spend time with the characters a little bit more. Why? Well, it's actually not IDW. It's Sega.
Wow,
As
really?
it always is. Wow.
Many such cases, isn't it?
Many such cases to the point that it's almost comedic how Sega continues the self-sabotage. Apparently there was a discussion where people were starting to get rightfully pretty annoyed at the state of why this arc was ending so soon. Only for Evan Stanley to basically come out and be like, yeah, so Sega told us that we can't have long arcs for the most part anymore.
So look, Evan said along those lines of Sega wants the comics, I guess for the foreseeable future, to be, what's the word? Like beginner friendly or like newcomer friendly is the word. They want the comics to be newcomer friendly. So as a result, they are making the arcs no longer than 3 issues, seemingly, for the foreseeable future. And Evan is understandably, as best as she could show it, upset by this, and showed as much on her Tumblr. And there is another thing to talk about in regards to her and her thoughts about the comic as well, but before we really get into that, as far as the comic itself was, obviously, yes, was going by way too fast. We didn't really get enough time to breathe with these characters. So Leel's character arc just kind of went by really too fast. It really, imagine if Chris's whole arc in Sonic X was like a handful of episodes worth. That's the equivalent of this.
Yeah, I feel like there's also a larger problem with the implications of doing that, especially when you're trying to make a character with like a lot of depth, or at least some level of depth, showing like, I guess like how like, I don't know, like maybe how a character is affected by Sonic in a different way, and maybe sort of the antics that they get up to as a result. We also don't know who the fuck Lunar is and who Salil is, because they're technically, the explanation given doesn't make any sense.
It's a split personality disorder, I guess is technically the way to call it, but I know what you mean, though. It's like the line is too blurred, right?
No, because we don't actually know if there's a split personality disorder or if there's something actually, because it's too blurry and it's not like concrete enough. We don't see enough of it to really know what's going on. That's part of the problem. When your storylines are so short that we can't even infer properly what's going on and the internal character struggle that may be resulting from that, you have a problem. Like a really big problem.
Right. Also to say, let's ask why. What's important? There is a pretty great irony now that we think about this, because after we finished the Phantom Rider arc, it was about 7 issues, perfectly paced, everything was solid. It was a very enjoyable read from start to finish, in large part because it was paced properly. And we've said this as much, but it bears repeating. After the Metal Virus saga, which was long, it was very, very long.
25 plus issues, or around 25 issues. Or something like that.
20-ish. 20-ish.
It felt like 25, but it was most likely 20.
20-ish, not counting the annuals and whatnot. The point is, it was a very long arc, and there are a lot of reasons for that, but in the end, a lot of the community's response to it was this arc was way too long, even though when you do read it back to back, in my opinion, it is perfectly well paced. It does not feel like it overstayed its welcome per se. It was just a long story. But in doing so, I did think that the IDW team was spooked off from doing longer arcs. So we had a long lull before we really got the next arc with Surgeon Kit into full force because of that. So then, some more time passes, issue 50 comes by, we all celebrate that it was genuinely a good story, even if it felt very muddled in with everything. But we then come to the Phantom Rider arc, a story that is mostly standalone, but it does stand out as well because of how well paced it was. And it was only like I said, 7 issues.
Hold on. I'm gonna interject because I want to say something about that. So I also think when we talk about stories being quote unquote standalone, we also have to acknowledge the fact that one thing that I think IDW has done decently well is try to weave the narrative through in different arcs, right? So Starline, right? His whole thing after the Metal Virus saga is I'm going to get one up on Eggman and I'm going to stop him. So he tries to form the bad guys team. That goes up in flames. Okay, what else can I do? How else can I fuck with these guys? Eventually he comes to the conclusion of, I just have to create my own Sonic and Tails. I have to set the world on this path. I have to do all this. We'll basically make big theatrics. I'll control the world, right? But the whole point is that there's a through line through multiple arcs before Starline inevitably dies, right? And it's the same way with Clutch, Clean Sweep Inc., and Jewel, right? There's a through line where we start to see Clutch's influence across multiple issues and multiple instances before he's placed into the center of the story, and the Phantom Rider arc is then placed at the center there. That's fine. That's good.
That's the way you do it. That's the way how you do comics. And they are doing that same thing again with this mystery person collecting the 7 emeralds. They are doing the same thing, and Evan has said as much. However, there is a big problem here, obviously, and that is Sega, and I have a theory as to why, but Sega has decided that because the comic has begun... Look, IDW has now been in production for almost 10 years now. That's a lot of individual comics, and that is a lot to follow. So on the one hand, I, to a teeny tiny extent, understand the logic and through line here of the comic is getting long, it may be getting a little hard to follow, so let's keep the stories brief so that if anyone, happens who doesn't know that the comics exist or is just getting into Sonic, is just out there and sees that this comics exists, they can just pick one up and they don't feel like that they're necessarily lost. I get that. Okay. Now it's time for the Alberto Century of Humiliation moment, because I'm going to bring in what I genuinely think the issue is here, and that is I honestly think Sega is still, traumatized by Archie Sonic.
No, absolutely. No, that isn't okay, hold on. That is not Alberto's Century of Humiliation, okay? Alberto's Century of Humiliation is, guys, the Freedom Fighters will come back this time.
It's issue 100, guys. It can happen. It'll happen. I promise you.
No. But no. The actual problem is, it's very clear that Sega is afraid, deeply of Archie happening again. And I think the problem is that they need to understand that the comics are inherently an ongoing long-form story. Sega is trying now to push shorter form stories with stuff like Sonic Presents, the visual novel game, the manga Sonic and the Blade of Courage. Stuff like that is good. You want short form content because you can have it be digestible and consumable and released in chunks. Comics, however, you can't do that. I'm sorry, you can't. 4-issue series like Imposter Syndrome, Scrapnik Island, Bad Guys that are pseudo standalone, that's a good way to onboard people, right? That's a good way to get people in. Annual specials, right? Chaotix 30th. That's a standalone story for the most part, who introduces a new villain. But what matters is that it's easy enough for people to get into. It's fun. Your plot critical stuff in IDW, you need to have longer arcs. 7 to 8 issues.
4 is like the absolute minimum. That's acceptable.
But even then, it's like you can only. It depends on what the arc is trying to accomplish, right? Imposter Syndrome works so well because it's 4 issues of essentially us locking the fuck in on the personality and psyche of 2 characters and watch as they uncover that they have been basically manipulated since birth to be fake people. And that's great. Scrapnik Island is about learning to go beyond what one's designated programming is and to squash the beef in a meaningful way. Bad Guys, I don't know, man. Bad Guys is just Zavok, wank session, I guess. I don't know, man.
And it's Zavok telling Starline, hey, kid, you gotta lock the fuck in. That's basically what it is.
Hey, hashtag get them fries,
No, but seriously though, the reason why I think it is traumatized of Archie, look, circumstances are much different now. For one thing, you have people working on this comic that actually like Sonic the Hedgehog and want to do right by this series. The reason why Archie... Okay, so, you know what? Fellas, folks, let's play a little game. And I want you to sound off in the comments section what you fare, okay? Pick a number between 80 and 100. Pick any number, read that particular issue of Archie Sonic. Come tell me what you think of it. Because I guarantee you,
What the fuck was going on in Archie Sonic at that point? And if you were a new reader, what the fuck were you thinking at that point in time? That right there, that is the definition of, dog, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, exactly. And that is exactly what Sega is trying to avoid. However, that is Sega overcorrecting, because I'm going to tell you all, I'm going to have to drop you all a little truth nuke here, because that is Sega correcting a problem that quite literally does not exist. Because IDW, on their own, does a very good job at making sure readers can catch up. They have graphic novel collections of the issues that are released on a regular basis. They have the hardcover collections that collect those graphic novels as well that are released on basically a yearly basis as well. If you are somebody who today got into Sonic the Hedgehog and you want to read the IDW comics, you could get them at a fairly good price, and you can read from issue 1 and go from there in order. It can be done because IDW did a good job at making sure that readers can catch up. Archie did not do that. In their credit, because the infrastructure back then did not exist, but I'm not going to get into that. That's for another time. That being said, though, Sega, you fucked up here. You fucked up pretty bad, and I don't think you're not doing your own series any favors. You're not doing this comic any favors. You're certainly not doing your creative team any favors. I feel so fucking bad for Evan Stanley. She is holding this together like with duct tape and bubblegum at this point, and I honestly feel so bad for her. She does not deserve this. Give her some fucking leeway here, man. Please.
It's not. Okay, here's the thing. You can have disagreements about the way that certain things are written. You can have disagreements about the way in which Sonic is written, etc., etc., etc. But the same thing always comes down to the same consistent points. Who are the people pushing the mandate?
That is the question, isn't it? That's also another part of this that we don't even necessarily think of, is who exactly is giving the yes and no here? Because Evan did say that the work is scrutinized, at least the writing and I assume the art as well, is scrutinized by Sega of Japan themselves pretty thoroughly as well. In fact, I don't know if there was like from this issue or from another issue, but I think someone on Twitter pointed out like 1 page worth of a comic and was kind of scrutinizing the comic as well on a writing standpoint, and just out of nowhere, wasn't tagged or anything, Evan Stanley replied to that saying every single word on this page was rewritten by Sega of Japan. Or at least mandated to be rewritten by Sega of Japan. The mandates, quote unquote, are definitely coming from the people who they should be coming from, don't get me wrong, and I understand that they have the right to do so, but I don't know if it's a language barrier issue, I don't know if this is like a telephone game problem, but somewhere along the line here, I don't think someone has the right idea. And because of that, it's causing a cascading effect that is negatively affecting the comic. You want to talk about the franchise as a whole, that's a whole different story. We're here talking about the comics right now. Right now, it is not pretty. It's not pretty, guys.
It is an interesting scenario to be in. I feel like Sonic is at a point that the public perception of Sonic has gotten very positive for a variety of reasons. I think Sega of Japan and Sega of America have to back the fuck off. I think it's time for them to let the reins come off and kind of let the creatives do what they need to do.
Yes, I agree 100%. And on that note, so while we are done with, I guess, current arc as it is with IDW, technically issue 84 has already come out, and 2 things on this front. Number 1, the reason why we're not covering it is because we'd rather do everything all at once and pin in that for now, because the issue 84 is the comic's first appearance of Sage, and what we also assumed would be the comics going post-Frontiers. However, according to Evan Stanley, that is technically not the case. Technically, the comics have been post-Frontiers for quite a while now. From her Tumblr, I'm just going to read this question here. The question is basically asking, like, this mystery villain has 6 of the 7 emeralds in that coffin, but issue 83 happens after Frontiers, so how did the emeralds go from there to the Starfall Islands and then back? And then Evan basically says, in full here, Frontiers does not take place after issue 83. 84 is Sage's first appearance in the comics, which is different. Because of how Frontiers handles the emeralds, it can only take place sometime shortly before issue 68. Even that placement's not perfect, but it's the best hiccup to put it without causing major continuity hiccups. We must assume that Eggman kept Sage safe at home for a while, as he made 110% sure she was fine after the whole debacle on the Starfall Islands. There was going to be dialogue and an editor's note clarifying this in 84, but during script review, we were asked to remove it to keep things continuity light. Ian and I knew this would be confusing and frustrating for longtime readers and pushed back, but it didn't work.
Great job, Sega. You're really fucking doing it again. It's so easy. It's so easy, dude. Dude, who are you scaring away by keeping continuity? Who are you scaring away with these script reviews? Who?
And listen, are you trying to say that you're trying to appeal to somebody who would be getting into Sonic through the comics? Because I'm going to be real with you guys, that's a psychopath. I'm going to be real with you. There is nothing wrong with keeping things in continuity. Honestly, what's most likely going to happen would be somebody... Here's the most realistic scenario right now of someone, a kid, let's say, getting into Sonic for the first time is they watch the Paramount movies, any of them. They really get interested in Sonic, and then they pick up the new game. Let's say Sonic Frontiers. And they're like, wow, cool, that was really good. I like the Sage character. Oh, Sage is in the comics now? I didn't know Sonic had comics. That's really cool. I'm going to pick up the first issue with Sage in it. And you want to tell me that you think it would be confusing to have dialogue that said that Sage was here, like, away during the events of the previous issues? You think that's confusing? This isn't even like a kids media thing. This is just you thinking your audience is stupid.
I don't even have anything to say about this.
It is very frustrating, and the way things stand right now, because we have been getting solicitations moving forward, and I've already read issue 84, I can already tell you, just by that one issue alone, we're going to be seeing the same issues as we saw with the last 3 issues, of things moving way too fast because of this 3-issue restriction. With that being said, though, we're going to do our best to keep things moving forward here, and so... With that being said, let's talk about the future of us, the show, this everything. What's going to be happening here is that, before when we caught up, we were doing those single issue reviews. They were not the the best way to format an ongoing story. Let's leave it at that. It was interesting for what it's worth. It was a good experiment, but let's try something different. IDW Sonic Rundown is going to be on hold for the time being. We are going to let the comics catch up to issue 100, and then after that, read everything in one fell swoop. That may take some time, but that's what's going to be done. In the meantime, we're going to be focusing back on the Sonic Talk Show, talking about the games in maybe one at one time, maybe a handful. What's next on the list is definitely going to be I believe the Game Boy Advance games are going to be up, and then Shadow the Hedgehog. I believe that's the order I have in the notes. But that's what's going to be happening moving forward. And of course, on Patreon, we've been reacting to Sonic X. We're on the 3rd season. We are halfway through it now. After that, we're going to watch Sonic Boom. All of it, some of it, I don't know. We're gonna watch Sonic Boom. That's the point of this.
Yeah.
It's been a lot. It's been clearly a lot with how these comics have been moving forward. And look, I don't want to leave the issue and leave this episode off like negatively. All I really want is for Sega, for somebody at Sega, because clearly they're not listening to Ian or Evan or anybody in the creative staff. Somebody at Sega has to be like, look, we are not doing this correctly. We need to course correct. If it's too late to do it with issue 100, then post issue 100, they need to reformat it and give us those longer arcs, because we've seen with the Phantom Rider saga, this comic is clearly suited for those longer arcs. And look, these 3 short story arcs, they can work if the material is light enough. And I do get the feeling that this last arc was supposed to be a lot longer, and then Sega gave them the 3-issue restriction, and they went, damn it. You know, originally, just on a personal note, you know, when this comic was being solicited, then they announced later on that, oh yeah, 2026 will be the debut of Sage in the comics in January. So I thought, oh, you know what? Maybe because they're keeping the arc short because they wanted to rush to get through to Sage. That kind of sucks, but sure, why not? And then Evan came out and said, no, this was on Sega and this is how the comics are going to be for the time being. And it's like, oh, of course. Of course it's Sega. Why wouldn't I think it was Sega?
Yeah. It's always Sega.
Well, anyway, guys, what can I say other than yeesh?
Anyways, what are our game reviews? Cause I know the games that we have coming up are particularly unholy. Cause I'm pretty sure we have the handheld games, right?
Yep, we're going to be doing Sonic Advance 1, 2, and 3 and Battle all as one video, so at the very least, you know, Battle obviously will be the meteor of that episode, I imagine. Then after that, we're going to do Shadow the Hedgehog.
We'll do Shadow the Hedgehog, which obviously I don't know how long that video is going to be. I don't think it's going to be super long, but I do think we need to have the sit down and the talk about what Shadow the Hedgehog did as a result and the long-standing reputation that it sort of began to bring. And then after Shadow the Hedgehog, I don't think we're talking about Rivals or Rivals 2. Those are PSP games. There's really nothing to say about them aside from like silver hype moments and aura.
I mean, we could do that like after one other thing, but after Shadow the Hedgehog, I think we should do Rush and Rush Adventure.
Yeah, that's fair. And then, well, I feel like we need to push Rush and Rush Adventure aside because I feel like we need to have the trilogy, right? It's like the Lord of the Rings. We get Shadow the Hedgehog, Sonic 06, the most likely 6 to 7 hour mega episode in which we in-depth dissect everything about this game, talk about its development history, its reputation. We are doing replays of this game, by the way, because we need to be fresh for it.
Twitch.tv/SonicSpeed. I'm probably going to stream mine.
Anyways. Afterwards, we'll finish with the trilogy of shit with Sonic and the Secret Rings, where we talk about how we like everything in that game except for actually playing it.
True. Can I get a true?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's going to be the review. Then we'll talk about Rush Adventure. Then we'll talk about Unleashed. And then my assumption is that we have to talk about Sonic Chronicles: The Dark Brotherhood, right?
Is that when the time, like, yeah, then it would be Unleashed, then Brotherhood. Brotherhood's going to be a special episode, guys. It's going to be a very special episode. It's gonna be a throwback. It's gonna be an Archie Sonic throwback.
Yeah. We'll even open the episode with the old theme song because it'd be really funny.
Fuck it, why not? Yeah. I mean, honestly, it would be good to kind of get that side of the story as far as the lawsuit goes, you know?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Anyway, that's the plan. That's the plan for now. And of course, like I said on Patreon, watching Sonic X, almost finished with Sonic X, then Sonic Boom, and I assume the movies are going to be on the list as well, along with the Knuckles show, and Sonic Prime will be thrown in there somewhere. Yeah, that's the plan, I suppose.
Yeah, you'll see.
Speaking of Patreon, patreon.com/SonicSpeed. Go support your boys. We're hungry. We're starving. It's rough out here, folks.
Yeah, we're in the fucking streets right now. We got the spare change.
I have to do mine out of a Spam can, bro. It's fucked up.
It's fucked up, man.
I put a little cardboard cutout of Spamton in mine, though. It gives me a little hope. I like seeing Spamton.
Just a little bit. Anyways, yeah, expect many great episodes coming in the coming weeks. And be mentally prepared. The Sonic 06 episode is probably going to be a multi-record session. I don't think you guys are ready for how dumb this is about to get, because it's going to get fucking dumb how much we talk about this game.
You guys ready for the 24-hour episode?
Oh god, no, please, no.
Patreon.com/SonicSpeed. $2 a month. You'll get all the episodes early when they're ready, along with the bonus show where we have been reacting to Sonic X. In the past, we've read the Sonic X comics along with Archie Mega Man, and then after that was where we pivoted and we watched Sat AM first, and then we watched
where we convinced ourselves via copious amounts of drugs and alcohol to watch all of Sonic Underground somehow. I don't understand how we did it. That shit was ass.
We did it on accident. Underground was different for like the YouTube audience, those not behind the paywall. We did do it like we never really intended to watch it all the way through because that's insane, and also because the story was never really finished, so I didn't really see the point. So we just like watched a handful of episodes here and there on requests of our Patreon, by the way. Our Patreon members had the ability to like give us suggestions for which episodes to watch, and you know, we took their suggestions, why they wanted us to watch those certain episodes, what have you. And of course, we had to get a little under the influence in order to be able to stomach watching those episodes. But it was a fun time. Generally, some of the most fun times I've recorded were those Underground episodes it was a Thair.
The Thair crash out is generational, especially because we had no nothing coming in. A Thair hits the screen and we start freaking the fuck out.
And he sounds like fucking Sean Connery too.
It's nuts, man.
Then after that, we did watch the OVA as well, of course. That was required. Also, as a bonus, we watched some of Ruby Spears' Mega Man. Genuinely some of the most awful shit I've seen in my life.
The Curse of the Lion Man, generational shitpost.
And now, of course, all of Season 1 and 2 in Sonic X is up there. We're currently on Season 3, and as I said, Boom, Prime, the movies, that's what's going to be up on the list as well. So, that's all $2 a month.
Yeah!
So that's a lot of content for $2 a month, guys. Think about it. Really, think about it. On top of that, for $5 a month, you get all of that plus a pre-show or a post-show. Depends how we want to do it, where we talk about, you know, what's going on in our day-to-day, the gaming news of the day, the Sonic news of the day. The last one was actually quite long because we uncovered the Sony State of Play and the mistake of the Nintendo Partner Direct that just passed a while ago as well. Fun stuff, guys. Yeah. It is interesting stuff. And of course, if you're on the YouTube channel, you do get highlights of that, of what you're missing out on, or seeing a little bit of what's behind the paywall. So it is something that we would, want to promote to you guys as well. And if you're listening on Spotify, I've said it before, but do check us out on YouTube, because I don't think I'll end up putting the talk show on the Spotify feed, at least the main one, because I know there's a separate one that Patreon does on their own. I just don't want to clog up the Spotify feed with stuff that's not comic related. So if you are listening on Spotify, go subscribe to us on the YouTube channel, because that's where the talk show is going to be hosted until we're ready to come back to the comics in issue 100. And hey, you know, maybe also in the future, the bonus content will also be used to talk about Udon Mega Man. That's coming out. I know the X comics are coming out as well. So maybe that'll be on the list in the future as well.
We'll see.
Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being with us on this journey for so long, and we're not stopping anytime soon, so stick around. We got a lot to keep going. See you guys. Love you. Bye.